what your entire thing, let's start with the most simplest question.
Yeah. Tell
How
us about
did
how
you
you got here.
yeah, tell us how you got into the field of badminton.
Oh, so that's going back a long way. I think going back to the time we were in school, Scottish wasn't easy on any of us. We always had a ton of work, whether it was project work or assignments or preparing for exams. We were always overworked. And yeah, I was pursuing the sport, competing at the state and national level. So travel was part of my routine even back then. And then once I passed out of school, I started training even harder. I was doing 2 or 3 sessions a day, and training picked up, tournaments picked up, and results were also coming in. So that was kind of spurring me on. And yeah, I think I continued to train in Mumbai for 2 years after school, and then I won my first national title, my junior national title, at the age of 18, and that's when I was selected to train as part. So you have this core group. It's like a national training group, like a squad that trains at the national center, which is in Hyderabad. So that's where all the top Indian badminton players like PV Sindhu, Saina Nehwal, Kashyap, all the men's singles, women's singles, doubles players, everyone trains there. It's like this training academy where you practically eat, drink, sleep badminton, and you're training 7 or 8 hours a day, and it's like a university of badminton basically. Yeah. So of course, getting selected to train with the creme meant that it was an obvious step. It also threw up a lot of questions about how do you balance college and all those difficult conversations at home started. But yes, I did take that. I did make a decision, and I did move to Hyderabad, and of course I was there for 4.5 years. Life at the National Center is pretty rigorous. We would start at 4:30 in the morning and pretty much be training through the day. Days would end by 7 p.m. probably. 3 or 4 sessions, and you're just at it, whether it's the gym, whether you're on court, you're training, you're competing. I mean, you travel for tournaments, and then you get back to the National Center. So I didn't really get to see my family much in those 4 years. But I think it was an exciting journey. I think I got to learn a lot just by seeing all those top players at close quarters, the kind of work, their work ethic, the number of hours that they put in day in and day out. And yes, ups and downs come. You see players getting injured, you see loss of form, you see intense competition at close quarters, because especially in India, you have so many players playing at that top level and competing for those few slots in teams, these official tournaments like the World Championships or the Asian Games or the Commonwealth Games, which have like a limited number of entries that every country can send. So the same number of players are competing for those limited slots. So the competition is intense. Sometimes it's like a 24/7 pressure cooker environment. You slip up on one thing and somebody else has grabbed it. It's that competitive and that intense. But you get to learn a lot. Discipline and this lifestyle just kind of becomes part of you. So yeah, I mean, the highs were that I was part of the Asian Games team that won the bronze. We created history at the Asian Games by winning the bronze. The women's team for the first time won the bronze at Incheon in Korea in 2014, and then the Uber Cup, which is another very prestigious event in badminton. The women's team created history again by winning the bronze in 2014 and 2016. So we did have our share of highs. I got to an India ranking of 1, and I got to 50 in the world, in terms of world ranking. So it was a great experience being there. Yes, eventually I did move out of the national center because I needed to work on some specific issues wherein I needed to train, in a smaller setup and have my space and that solitude to work independently on certain things. So I moved out of the national center after 4.5 years and trained with a personal coach in Bangalore. That went on for about a year and a half, and then I moved to the UK to do my masters and also play the European circuit because I was ranked 49 in the world at that point, and you have a lot of tournaments happening in Europe where you have an opportunity to kind of build your ranking. So, say you want to jump from the 50s to around 25, you play the European circuit quite a bit. So that was the plan, and it started off pretty well. But 2 months in, I tore my patella tendon in 2017. So I had to come back and have surgery done, and my ranking plummeted 200 places. But the positive side was that I got my master's degree, and now I'm back to playing full time. Yeah, it's sort of my comeback. This is like my comeback journey.
All right.
We're waiting. I know Tanvi is just going to get lit now. Like, I know I've known Tanvi for I've watched her from a distance. So I know that I'm waiting for just like her to just like release that arrow and just like go to the top.
But good luck to you. I hope everything works out well. I hope you can get that top #1 ranking in the world right here.
Thank you.
We're ready. Yeah. I'm telling you, like, the first interview will be with Thoughts Podcast. When you're whenever you're ranked #1, first interview is with us.
Exactly. Just make sure you remember us when you're so famous right now.
Yeah, please. Okay? Yeah, it's just like she's so yeah. So it's we spoke about losses. We spoke about the kind of focus that is required in a current situation. I think another thing which we need to talk about, and which it's there, but it's pretty much under the covers, and this is a little controversial topic, so mind you, it's going to raise a few eyebrows. But what's the scene with doping or performance enhancement drugs? Because we've seen it in multiple fields. We've seen it in tennis, we've seen it in athletics, we've seen it in cricket. And no field is obviously going to be spared in a sense. Is no field is going to be spared from it, because it's there, it helps in some way. It's obviously unfair, but it helps. So have you ever noticed, like, when you're playing somebody, you're playing an opponent and you're like, yo, this dude's like totally, this person is like uncharacteristically just hype about everything, and you're like, and it's not the normal kind of hype, it's like Ranveer Singh kind of hype. And you're like, oh, it's like, is this dude on something? Like, have you ever wondered, or have you ever played like an opponent who's like super hype and you're like, yo, something's off? Or have you noticed it in and around you? Like, what's that scene like?
So from what I've read, heard, sports like you mentioned, athletics, boxing, wrestling, it's doping is big, and they say you can't do the sport without dope, because you need to condition your body to that level of physicality. But in skill sports, I mean, yes, dope, performance enhancing drugs can be used to a large extent to improve your endurance, to improve your like you said, just being hyped, but in a skill based sport, it doesn't influence your performance as much, because there is so much of a strategy part, there's so much of a skill, stroke play, there's so much more to the game than just being physically fit, that athletes may use performance enhancing drugs in training and then may mask it effectively, because we are all subject to random testing by WADA, especially like now in the Olympic qualification period, there's random testing. So if an athlete is taking the risk of using performance enhancing drugs to boost his training and to get that much stronger and build that kind of strength and muscle mass in a training block, then he's running the risk of being tested and banned by WADA, which will ruin his career. But to be using it during match play is something that I haven't really seen in badminton. because like I said, there is so much more to the sport than just being hyped and on the day of the match. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because, like you said, it's a very skill-based sport, so strength and is maybe not a key factor in it. Most likely endurance is.
On match day it isn't. I mean, in training, yes.
Yeah.
But on match day, you can't suddenly take a performance-enhancing drug and expect to play at another pace. That's
yeah. I understand, like maybe more for like the more combat, more physical sports, like you're saying, like maybe wrestling, boxing, whatever.
Yes.
Maybe, you probably will see people doping there. But something like badminton, where it's all about positioning and trying to find the right angle to hit the badminton net. I can definitely understand why PEDs may not be a viable method in trying to have an edge over your opponent. So yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it makes total sense. So what has the first season been like? So it seems like you guys bring on sports athletes on your podcast. Tell us how's that been? Who's been like your best guest you had on there? And if you want to, you can tell us your worst guest, but you don't have to say their name if you don't want to say their name.
Brad, I think she wants. Brad, I just think she wants season 2 to happen, and she also wants season 3 after that. I don't think she wants to end it there, where like everybody's just like, "Fuck this, we're not coming on the show." Bye. But yeah, Tanvi, go on. Tanvi, go on.
You can stick to your best guess you've had thus far. Any guess you look forward to in season 2.
You can just tell us what the guest did badly. You can just tell us that works for us. We'll guess.
I was lucky in that department. I think because all the guests were celebrities in their own right. They were all stalwarts. One was an Arjuna awardee, one was a Khel Ratna awardee. So I can't really complain with our lineup of guests there. And we were literally trying to learn and be inspired with every conversation and soaking up as much as we could with every conversation. So I think season 1 was great. Like I said, it started off as something we were doing for fun, and it kept us busy and entertained during the lockdown. We were learning everything from like creating content to editing to social media. So we were doing it all, and it was a great learning because it kept me, in fact, pretty inspired. I saw a lot of my teammates otherwise getting demotivated. Nobody really wanted to train and stay fit, and there was nothing to do and no tournaments to look forward to but just chatting with these celebrities every day was keeping me super inspired, and I tried to stay fit right through the lockdown. So I think in that way, whether it was Rohan Bopanna talking about how he doubles partnerships, for instance. He spoke about what actually goes into the making of a successful partnership, or it was Saurav Gosal talking about making that jump from you're a top 20 player, how do you break into the top 10, because that's another 10 places higher in the world ranking. So what actually makes the difference between a top 20 player and a top 10 player? So, stuff like that. I mean, each athlete brought something new to the table, and we did cover the entire spectrum. So we did tennis, squash, swimming, golf, badminton, snooker, we did table tennis. So we did all sports, and everyone had a story to tell. Everyone had something unique, whether it was mindset, whether it was diet, whether it was mental health issues. Everyone brought something new to the table, and it was a great learning curve for both me and my co-host, who is also a teammate. So we did learn a lot. And season 2, excited about season 2 because we still have a lot of things that we feel strongly about, and we want to kind of put our voice out there. And we've been through the whole Indian sporting system, and we feel strongly about a lot of things that aren't quite right. So yeah, hopefully we try to fix that or at least put our voice out there in season 2.
Wow, that sounds very fun. Could you give us, do you have a special guest you have in mind coming in on season 2 that you want to talk about? Like anybody, any other huge guests that may be dropping by on season 2, or do you want to not say that just yet?
We do have a couple of badminton players. I mean, they're of course teammates. but they've been creating waves on the world circuit of late, and they're kind of about to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics as well. I mean, they've almost cemented their position at the Olympics. So we do plan on getting them on board.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Did you all do an interview with PV Sindhu or?
No, but we hope to in season 2.
That's why I was like, wait, this is like, did you all? I don't remember seeing season 1. I was like, because I think you all did one with Jwala Gutta, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we did.
You all did with Jwala Gutta, so I was like, and because I remember seeing a podcast with her with Saurabh Pant, and they were talking about that, and that was amazing. And I was like this, and then I saw your podcast with them, and I was like, wait, this is amazing. So that's why I'm really looking forward to, like, I hope, and like, knock on wood,